ああ、しまいとしよう。
About a month ago, before I got significantly ill with a cold that really just destroyed my voice, I did a video review of Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, in which I laid out my love and appreciation for this wonderful, wonderful video game. However, I was dismayed by the game's intense and unforgiving difficulty curve, which actually turned off many, even those who had previously been enthralled by From's games in the past. That was a poorly said sentence, but I'm off the cuff. There is no script to fall back on. I know what you're thinking. He wrote those other videos? And yes, I did. A month later, and having severed the ties of immortality and facing off against the Sword Saint, Ashina, I know that Sekiro is a perfect masterpiece that is beautiful and complex in a way I couldn't have possibly imagined, back while getting my head kicked in by Seven Spears What's-His-Nuts for the 50 billionth time in a row. What I find fascinating about Sekiro I think can be best summed up in its final confrontation. What starts out as a rote bout against your de facto nemesis Genichiro Ashina evolves out of his neck into a heart-bracing dance with war incarnate amidst an angry sky and the falling ashes of a burning empire. Ishin Ashina is the fight that the entire game has been preparing you for. At this point in the game, you likely have 3 death blows. He has 3 death blows. You likely have multiple moves, weapons, accessories, and tricks up your sleeve. Well, so does he. He is the cool, weird, old drunken man who you've been giving booze to throughout the entire game, now resurrected from the beyond by his weird grandson by cutting his own face open and having his grandpa crawl out. I don't understand necessarily what happened there or why, or if Ishin is really good or bad. Shirtless and draped with a blue coat and a big ol' stupid samurai hat. Ishin Ashina, the Sword Saint, the living wrath of Ashina made new from the great beyond and pointed directly at you. On my final approach to this daring and deft battle, I read online many people lamenting its intense difficulty and the stamina required to complete it. I heard people who went months without finishing this fight, people who said that it soured the game for them how difficult this fight was. I've also heard people say they beat it in an hour, and that confused me, and they must be very, very good at this. So when, after taking about an hour a day for 2 days, just throwing myself into this walking blender man, I eventually decided not to win, but to fight. Each movement its own battle, each swing of the sword a fight to be won. I would learn his stance, I would learn his moveset, I would learn how best to counter each and every trick in his bag. And so, on one humble day in which I was the only one awake and I had 5 hours of time in which to dedicate to anything productive or good or creative, I thought, you know what I could do? Slap on a podcast and get to slashin'. There would be times where I could break through his first phase without breaking a sweat. Then there would be times where he would end me within moments of the fight even really beginning. And this is the magic of game design as a whole, but especially of From Software. This is the magic of Bloodborne, of Dark Souls, of all of these games, which present you with an impossible, an immovable object, and then say, move it. Knowing full well that thousands who've come before you have done so. Their rallying cries, their YouTube videos and Twitter posts are the fuel which burns your dream, your desire to overcome. I knew it wasn't random. The times that I was beating him easily were not some stroke of luck, were not some change in AI. I was doing something different. So I threw up my guard and let him hit me. Again and again and again. Strike, strike, block, parry, block, strike. Each time my confidence renewed, and each time Heap's blood boils. Pulling his massive trident from the ground as well as a gun from somewhere. How did a gun get into his grandson's neck? We may never know for certain, and to this day, my mind reels from the curiosity. Did Genichiro eat a gun? Because think about it, it must be difficult to eat a gun. Oh, what? You can't chew it, it's metal. Your teeth would go clonkle plonkle plonk, and nobody wants their teeth to go clonkle plonk all over the ground. So, he'd have to swallow the gun. Not impossible, especially if you're immortal, but difficult, yes. So, let's say that Genichiro did swallow a gun whole. Did it just get lodged there? His stomach acid certainly would have been able to destroy it.
Why are you even talking about this?
So, it got lodged in his tum-tum. Now imagine for a moment that you had a gun lodged in your tum-tum. It would certainly make you angry, wouldn't it? You'd certainly rip off your samurai outfit, get your sword struck by lightning, and start to attack some poor, cool shinobi man for a whole bunch and make him really sad for 3 hours until he beat you and then you jump off of a castle. You'd do the same thing if you had a gun stuck in your tum-tum. And that's what I'm saying. This whole time, this whole game is ignoring the real truth, the real darkness. Don't eat guns. That's the real lesson.
I think you've lost the plot a bit.
Oh, have I, Mr. Octopus? Well, tell me, what do you think the game is about?
Well, it seems to be some kind of important meditation on the idea of power and military strength being valued over the lives of its own citizens, and shows how a pursuit in super advanced combat and war technologies can have a devastating impact on the local peoples and citizenry of the areas affected by the war.
Pretty convenient that you had such a good answer, isn't it, Senor Octopus?
Senor Octopus is my brother. My name is Mr. Octopus.
You have a brother named Senor Octopus? Never mind. Okay, so the game never lets up. Each boss a test to see what you've learned. Each new enemy or mini-boss, a new lesson, a new technique to master. Ishin Ashina is the final test. He is the battle the game has been preparing you for from the start. Every single lesson. In my final battle against the man, with podcast playing in full practice mode, shocked that I'd gotten even this far, I Mikiri countered, step on a weapon, every single thrust. I reversed every bolt of lightning. It is rare that a physically inept non-fighter can get that feeling of the student becoming the master. The player of Sekiro is a student, and the developer, the design, the art, the enemies, everything is trying to teach you a lesson. You can get back up again. You can broaden your mind, look for new ways around obstacles. Ishin is the master stepping forward and bowing, saying, "Now you are ready. Let's fight." Mastering Sekiro is an experience I have not had since I first played a Dark Souls game all the way back in 2014. And when I realized that, I just sat back in my chair with awe and thought, oh my flying spaghetti monster, they did it again. Dark Souls is like nothing else. Bloodborne is like nothing else, and Sekiro is like nothing else. Can you imagine the kind of talent, the kind of ability and creative thought that would go into systems, puzzles for a human being to learn this well and this fun? To learn this fun, that's what I said. This is why you should write videos. Back to my point. I'd never played a game like Sekiro before. And understanding that is the very first building block to understanding this game. And the culminations of those lessons is not just my favorite experience in a video game this year or the last 2 years. Yes, probably. Who can say? But it is an experience that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Goodbye. And don't go eating any guns. Your tummy will thank you.
You've been a good friend, and that's in the thick and thin.